Your dream is too precious to be posted on social media. Let me say that again. Your dream is too precious to be posted on social media before it becomes reality. You see, there's a spiritual principle that most people miss because they're too busy looking for likes and comments. They're too busy seeking validation from people who don't even believe in themselves. They announce their plans before the ink is dry. They tell everyone about the business they're about to start, the book they're about to write, the weight they're about to lose, the degree they're about to finish. And then what happens? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not because they weren't capable, not because the dream wasn't real, but because they released the energy of the dream into the atmosphere before the dream had time to take root in their spirit. There's something you need to understand about vision. Vision is like pregnancy. When a woman first discovers she's pregnant, does she run to the street and announce it to everyone? No. Why? Because it's too early. It's too fragile. It's too sacred. She holds it close. She protects it. She nurtures it in silence until the time is right. And even when she does announce it, she's careful about who she tells and how she tells it, because she knows that not everyone will celebrate what's growing inside of her. Some will doubt, some will criticize, some will speak death over what's supposed to live. Your plans are seeds, and seeds don't grow in noise. They grow in darkness. They grow in silence. They grow underground where no one can see them. You plant a seed, and then you wait. You water it in private. You protect it from the elements. You don't dig it up every day to show people how it's doing. You trust the process. You trust the timing. You trust that what's buried will eventually break through the soil and become visible to everyone. But that takes time. That takes patience. That takes faith. And most importantly, that takes silence. Why do people feel this insatiable need to announce everything they're about to do? I'll tell you why. Because they're addicted to the applause. They're addicted to the affirmation. They crave the attention more than they crave the accomplishment. They want people to clap for the dream before they've done the work. They want credit for potential instead of results. They want to be celebrated for intention instead of execution. And that's dangerous. That's spiritual suicide. Because once you get the applause for the announcement, you lose the hunger for the achievement. Your ego gets satisfied prematurely, and your spirit loses the fire it needs to push through the pain of process. Let me tell you something about energy. Everything is energy. Your words carry energy. Your thoughts carry energy. Your vision carries energy. And when you speak your plans to the wrong people, you are literally giving away the energy you need to accomplish those plans. You're pouring out what should be filling you up. You're releasing power that was meant to fuel your progress. It's like trying to boil water in a pot with holes in it. You can turn up the heat all you want, but if the container can't hold what you're pouring into it, you'll never reach the boiling point. Have you ever noticed that the people who talk the most do the least? The people who are always announcing their next big move are usually the ones who never move at all. They're stuck in the announcement phase. They're professional starters who never finish anything. They collect dreams like other people collect shoes, but they never wear them. They never walk in them. They never go anywhere. And the tragic part is they don't even realize that their own mouth is the trap that's keeping them bound. There's a principle in Scripture that says, don't cast your pearls before swine. Now, before you get offended, let me explain what that means. It doesn't mean people are pigs. It means not everyone has the capacity to recognize the value of what you carry. Pearls are precious. Pearls are valuable. But to a pig, a pearl looks like any other rock. It has no worth. It has no significance. And if you throw your pearls to someone who can't appreciate them, they'll trample them in the mud. They'll destroy what you thought was valuable. Not because they're evil, but because they're blind. They can't see what you see. They don't value what you value. And when you share your vision with people who don't have vision, you subject yourself to unnecessary pain. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you walk into a room full of people and you say, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to change my life. What happens? Some people will smile and nod, but they won't believe you. Some people will laugh, not because you're funny, but because they think you're foolish. Some people will discourage you with logic. They'll give you 100 reasons why it won't work. They'll remind you of your failures. They'll point out your limitations. They'll tell you to be realistic. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing them. You'll start doubting yourself. You'll start second guessing the very thing that your spirit confirmed was true. But here's the kicker. These same people who doubt you, who discourage you, who laugh at you, they're not even doing anything with their own lives. They're stuck. They're comfortable. They're playing it safe. And misery loves company. Mediocrity loves company. Fear loves company. So they try to pull you down to their level because your vision exposes their stagnation. Your courage exposes their cowardice. Your ambition exposes their apathy. And instead of rising up to meet you, they try to convince you to sit down with them. Don't do it. Don't shrink yourself to make other people comfortable. Don't dim your light because someone else is afraid of the dark. Don't abandon your dream because someone who's never dreamed a day in their life tells you it's impossible. You were not created to live according to someone else's limited belief system. You were created to manifest purpose. You were created to produce. You were created to create. And if you allow the opinion of small-minded people to dictate the direction of your life, you'll die with your music still inside you. Now, I'm not saying you should never share your plans with anyone. What I'm saying is be strategic, be selective, be wise. Share your vision with people who have vision. Share your goals with people who have goals. Share your dreams with people who have the capacity to dream with you, not against you. There are some people in your life who are dream killers. They don't mean to be. They don't wake up in the morning plotting your destruction, but they're so bound by their own limitations that they can't celebrate your possibilities. And if you keep going to dry wells expecting water, you'll die of thirst. The enemy of right is not wrong. The enemy of right is good. Let me explain. Most people are not against you. They're not evil. They're not wicked. They're good people. They care about you. They love you. But good is often the enemy of great. Good enough is the enemy of excellence. Comfort is the enemy of growth. And sometimes the people who love you the most will unintentionally become the greatest obstacle to your progress because they love you as you are and they're afraid of who you're becoming. They're afraid of change. They're afraid of losing you. They're afraid of being left behind. So they try to keep you where you are because that's where they feel safe. But you have to understand something. You are not responsible for other people's comfort. You are responsible for your obedience. You are responsible for your assignment. You are responsible for fulfilling the mandate that was placed on your life before you were born. And if that makes some people uncomfortable, so be it. You cannot live your life trying to manage other people's emotions. You cannot make decisions based on who's going to be offended or who's going to be disappointed. That's bondage. That's prison. That's a slow death. Let me tell you about the lion. The lion is called the king of the jungle. But did you know the lion is not the biggest animal in the jungle? The elephant is bigger. The lion is not the fastest. The cheetah is faster. The lion is not the smartest. The dolphin and the ape are smarter. So why is the lion the king? Because of how he sees himself. The lion has a different mindset. The lion walks with authority. When the lion roars, every other animal stops. Not because the roar is the loudest, but because there's something in the roar that commands respect. There's something in the roar that declares dominance. And here's the key. The lion doesn't need an audience. The lion doesn't perform. The lion simply is. The lion doesn't announce that he's the king. He acts like the king, and everyone else acknowledges it. That's the posture you need to have with your dreams. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to defend it. You don't need to convince anyone. You just need to be about it. You need to walk in it. You need to work on it in silence and let your results do the talking. When you show up with the finished product, nobody's going to ask you why you didn't tell them. They're going to ask you how you did it, and that's when you speak. That's when you teach. That's when you inspire. Not with potential, but with proof. You know what's interesting? every manufacturer keeps their design process secret. You don't see Apple announcing every prototype iPhone before it's ready. You don't see Mercedes showing you every failed test drive. You don't see Nike revealing every rejected shoe design. Why? Because they understand that the power is in the reveal, not the rehearsal. They work in private so they can reveal in public. They perfect the product behind closed doors so that when they present it to the world, it's undeniable, it's irresistible, it's excellent. Your life is a product. Your dream is a product. Your purpose is a product. And if you're going to present something of value to the world, you need to work on it in the lab of your life before you display it on the stage. You need to refine it. You need to test it. You need to make sure it works. Because there's nothing worse than announcing something you can't deliver. There's nothing more embarrassing than promising what you can't produce. And there's nothing more damaging to your credibility than being the person who's always about to do something but never actually does it. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you announced a goal and didn't achieve it? How many times have you told people you were going to lose weight, start a business, go back to school, write a book, change your career, move to a new city, and you didn't do it? And every time you make that announcement and fail to follow through, you're programming your subconscious mind to not take you seriously. You're training yourself to be a liar. You're becoming someone whose words have no weight because your actions don't back them up. And worse than that, you're teaching the people around you not to believe you. You're becoming the boy who cried wolf. And when you finally do accomplish something real, people won't celebrate because they've been conditioned to doubt you. That's why silence is golden. Silence protects your integrity. Silence protects your energy. Silence protects your peace. When you're silent, you're not accountable to anyone's timeline but your own. You're not under pressure to prove anything to anyone. You're free to fail, learn, adjust, and try again without an audience. You're free to experiment without criticism. You're free to grow without judgment. And that freedom is priceless. That freedom is necessary. That freedom is what allows you to become who you're supposed to be without the weight of public opinion crushing you before you even get started. Now, some of you are thinking, but I need accountability. I need people to hold me responsible. And you're right. Accountability is important. But there's a difference between accountability and announcement. Accountability is when you share your goals with one or two trusted people who are qualified to guide you, mentor you, and keep you on track. Announcement is when you broadcast your intentions to everyone within earshot, hoping for validation. Accountability is private. Announcement is public. Accountability is strategic. Announcement is emotional. Accountability moves you forward. Announcement holds you back. So find yourself a mentor. Find yourself a coach. Find yourself someone who's been where you're trying to go and let them hold you accountable. But stop announcing your plans to your cousin who's never accomplished anything. Stop sharing your vision with your friend who's still stuck in the same place they were 5 years ago. Stop seeking advice from people who are not living the life you want to live. That's insanity. That's like asking a broke person for financial advice. That's like asking someone who's never been married for relationship counsel. That's like asking someone who's never written a book how to publish one. It makes no sense. And yet people do it every single day because they're more interested in being heard than being helped. Here's another truth that's going to sting a little bit. Not everyone who's in your life is for your life. Some people are just there. They're not adding anything. They're not supporting anything. They're not building anything. They're just occupying space. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can protect your peace. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to cut people off with drama. But you do have to create boundaries. You do have to guard your heart. You do have to protect what's growing inside of you from people who can't nurture it. Think about a garden. If you want a garden to flourish, you have to protect it from weeds. You have to protect it from pests. You have to build a fence around it. Why? Because if you don't, everything you plant will be destroyed. The same is true for your dreams. You have to build a fence of silence around them. You have to protect them from the weeds of doubt. You have to guard them from the pests of negativity. You have to create an environment where they can grow without interference. And once they've grown strong enough to withstand the elements, then you can open the gate and let people see what you've cultivated. But here's what most people do. They plant the seed and immediately invite everyone to come see it. And because it's just a seed, it doesn't look like much. It doesn't look impressive. It doesn't look valuable. So people walk all over it. They trample it. They dismiss it. And then they wonder why nothing grew. It's not because the seed was bad. It's because the seed was exposed before it was ready. You have to understand the power of incubation. Incubation is the process of creating the perfect environment for something to develop. When a mother bird lays an egg, she doesn't leave it out in the open. She sits on it, she covers it, she keeps it warm, she protects it from predators, she stays with it until it's time to hatch. And when that baby bird is ready, it breaks through the shell on its own. The mother doesn't break it open prematurely. She doesn't announce to the forest that she laid an egg. She just sits, she waits, she trusts the process. And when the time is right, life emerges. That's what you need to do with your dreams. Sit on them, cover them, keep them warm with your faith. Protect them from predators with your silence. Stay with them until they're ready. And when the time is right, they'll break through on their own. You won't have to force it. You won't have to manufacture it. It will happen naturally because you created the right environment for it to develop. Now, I know some of you are impatient. You want results yesterday. You want success now. You want people to see your progress immediately. But greatness doesn't work like that. Greatness takes time. Greatness requires seasons. There's a season for planting. There's a season for watering. There's a season for waiting. And there's a season for harvesting. And if you try to harvest before the crop is ready, you'll ruin everything. You'll get frustrated. You'll get discouraged. You'll quit before you see the reward. But if you trust the process, if you honor the season, if you do the work in private, the public reward will be worth the private pain. Every champion knows this. Every successful person knows this. Every person who's accomplished anything significant knows this. They worked when nobody was watching. They studied when nobody was cheering. They sacrificed when nobody was supporting. And by the time people started paying attention, the work was already done. The foundation was already laid. The habits were already formed. The character was already built. And the results were inevitable. You see, success is not an event. Success is a lifestyle. Success is a daily decision. Success is a series of small, seemingly insignificant choices that compound over time and produce extraordinary outcomes. And the problem with announcing your plans is that it tricks you into thinking you've already done something when you've only talked about it. It gives you a false sense of accomplishment. It releases dopamine in your brain as if you've actually achieved the goal when all you've done is state the goal. And once your brain gets that hit of dopamine, it loses the motivation to do the actual work. That's why you see people who are always talking about what they're going to do, but never actually doing it. They're addicted to the feeling they get from the announcement. They're addicted to the attention. They're addicted to the fantasy, but they're allergic to the work. They're allergic to the sacrifice. They're allergic to the discomfort that comes with growth. And so they stay stuck in a cycle of talking, planning, dreaming, but never executing. And years go by and nothing changes. And they wonder why. Let me tell you why. Because motion is not the same as progress. Activity is not the same as productivity. Being busy is not the same as being effective. You can talk all day long and still be in the same place. You can post motivational quotes and still be unmotivated. You can announce your goals and still be goalless. Words without action are just noise. And noise doesn't build anything. Noise doesn't create anything. Noise doesn't change anything. Only action does. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Stop talking and start working. Stop announcing and start executing. Stop seeking validation and start validating yourself by showing up every single day and doing what needs to be done. Stop worrying about who believes in you and start believing in yourself. Stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself permission. Stop looking for applause and start clapping for yourself when you do the hard thing that nobody sees. Because let me tell you something. The most important work you'll ever do is the work that nobody applauds. It's the work you do at 5 in the morning when everyone else is sleeping. It's the work you do late at night when everyone else is out partying. It's the work you do when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you're broke, when you're lonely, when you're doubted, when you're criticized. That's the work that builds character. That's the work that builds strength. That's the work that builds the foundation for everything you're going to become. And if you need an audience for that, you're not ready. Greatness is built in obscurity. Champions are made in the dark. Legends are forged in private. And if you can't be faithful in the secret place, you'll never be fruitful in the public place. If you can't discipline yourself when nobody's watching, you'll never sustain yourself when everybody's watching. If you can't do the work without the applause, you'll never handle the pressure that comes with the applause. So let me give you some practical wisdom. When you have a goal, write it down, but don't post it. Keep it between you and your Creator. Pray over it. Meditate on it. Visualize it. Work toward it. And keep your mouth closed. When people ask you what you're up to, smile and say, I'm working on something. That's it. Don't elaborate. Don't explain. Don't defend. Just keep working. And when the work is done, when the goal is accomplished, when the dream is realized, then you can share. Then you can celebrate. Then you can inspire. But not before. Not until the fruit is ripe. Not until the work is complete. Because here's what happens when you operate in silence. You eliminate distractions. You eliminate opinions. You eliminate doubts. You eliminate fear. You create space for faith to work. You create space for focus to build. You create space for momentum to grow. And when you finally reveal what you've been working on, people won't have words. They won't have criticism. They won't have doubt. Because the evidence will be undeniable. The proof will be irrefutable. The results will speak louder than anything you could have said. And here's the beautiful part. When you accomplish something in silence and then reveal it, you inspire people in a way that announcements never could. Because now you're not just talking about what's possible. You're showing them what's possible. You're not giving them theory. You're giving them testimony. You're not giving them hope. You're giving them proof. And that's powerful. That's magnetic. That's transformational. Because people don't need more people telling them what to do. They need more people showing them what's possible. So be that person. Be the person who works in silence and let success make the noise. Be the person who builds in private and reveals in public. Be the person who plants in secret and harvests in plain sight. Be the person who doesn't need validation to start but earns celebration by finishing. Be the person who understands that the journey is just as important as the destination, and that who you become in the process is more valuable than what you accomplish in the end. You were not born to beg for belief. You were born to build belief. You were not created to seek approval. You were created to live with purpose. You were not designed to fit in. You were designed to stand out. And if you can embrace that, if you can own that, if you can walk in that, you will live a life that most people only dream about. But it starts with silence. It starts with discipline. It starts with faith. It starts with the courage to work when nobody's watching. It starts with the humility to learn when nobody's teaching. It starts with the wisdom to move in private so you can be celebrated in public. It starts with the decision to stop announcing your plans and start executing them. Because at the end of the day, nobody cares about what you're going to do. They care about what you've done. Nobody remembers the person who talked about writing a book. They remember the author. Nobody celebrates the person who said they were going to start a business. They celebrate the entrepreneur. Nobody honors the person who claimed they were going to change the world. They honor the person who actually changed it. So stop talking, start doing, stop planning, start building, stop dreaming, start creating. Your life is waiting for you to take it seriously. Your purpose is waiting for you to pursue it relentlessly. Your destiny is waiting for you to walk into it courageously. But none of that will happen if you keep leaking your power through your lips. None of that will happen if you keep seeking affirmation from people who can't even affirm themselves. None of that will happen if you keep announcing seeds instead of presenting fruit. So make a vow today. Make a vow to be silent about your plans until they become your reality. Make a vow to protect your vision from the opinions of the crowd. Make a vow to work with integrity when nobody's applauding. Make a vow to trust the process even when you can't see the progress. Make a vow to be faithful in the secret place so you can be fruitful in the public place. Make a vow to become the person your future needs you to be. And when you do that, when you commit to that, when you walk in that, you will become unstoppable. Not because you're perfect, not because you're the most talented, not because you have all the resources, but because you have focus, you have discipline, you have faith, and you have the wisdom to move in silence until it's time to roar. So go, build your dream in the dark, nurture your vision in the silence, water your seed in secret, and when the time is right, when the season shifts, when the fruit is ripe, the world will see what you've been working on, and they won't have a choice but to celebrate. They won't have a choice but to acknowledge. They won't have a choice but to respect, because your results will demand it. Your success will command it. Your life will prove it. Don't tell people your plans until they happen. Let your life be the announcement. Let your success be the speech. Let your results be the reveal. And watch how the world responds when you stop asking for permission and start walking in purpose. You know what separates the dreamers from the doers? It's not talent. It's not money. It's not connections. It's the ability to endure the loneliness of the journey without needing constant encouragement from the crowd. Most people can't handle being misunderstood. Most people can't handle being underestimated. Most people can't handle working on something that nobody believes in yet. So they quit. They compromise. They settle. They abandon the very thing they were called to do because they couldn't handle the silence. But the silence is not your enemy. The silence is your friend. The silence is your teacher. The silence is where you discover who you really are when the lights go off and the cameras stop rolling. The silence reveals your true character. It exposes your real motives. It shows you whether you're doing this for the applause or for the assignment. And that's a revelation most people are too afraid to face. Let me tell you about Joseph. This man had a dream, a powerful dream, a prophetic dream. And what did he do? He told his brothers. He announced it before it was time. And what happened? His brothers threw him in a pit. They sold him into slavery. They destroyed his coat and broke his father's heart. Why? Because he revealed his future before he was ready to walk into it. He spoke his destiny to people who were threatened by it. And it cost him years of his life. But here's what's beautiful about the story. While Joseph was in prison, while he was forgotten, while he was working in silence, something was happening. His character was being refined. His faith was being tested. His gift was being sharpened. And when the time was right, when the season shifted, he didn't have to announce anything. Pharaoh sent for him. The palace came looking for him. And he went from the prison to the palace in one day because he did the work in private that qualified him for the promotion in public. That's your story too. Right now, you might be in a pit. You might be in a prison. You might be in a season that doesn't make sense. But if you'll stay faithful, if you'll keep working, if you'll guard your mouth and trust the process, your palace is coming. Your promotion is coming. Your vindication is coming. And when it comes, it won't be because you begged for it. It won't be because you announced it. It will be because you earned it in the secret place, and now the public place has no choice but to recognize it. So stop talking. Start trusting. Stop announcing. Start advancing. Stop seeking validation from people who are still trying to figure out their own lives. You don't need their approval. You need your obedience. You don't need their belief. You need your faith. You don't need their applause. You need your action. And when you operate from that place of inner conviction, nothing can stop you. Nobody can block you. No amount of doubt, criticism, or opposition can derail you, because you're not building on the opinions of people. You're building on the promises of purpose. Here's the final truth I want to leave with you. Your silence is not weakness. Your silence is wisdom. Your silence is strategy. Your silence is strength. When you move in silence, you move with power. When you work in private, you produce in public. When you trust the process without broadcasting every step, you honor the sacredness of what's being built inside of you. This is not about being secretive or prideful. This is about being protective and purposeful. This is about understanding that your dream is a seed from heaven, and heaven doesn't need social media approval to bring it to pass. So today, make a decision. Decide that you will no longer be a person of announcements, but a person of accomplishments. Decide that you will measure your life not by what you said you would do, but by what you actually did. Decide that you will honor your vision enough to protect it from premature exposure. And decide that when you do speak, it will be with the authority of someone who has walked the path, climbed the mountain, and earned the right to tell the story. Your future self is waiting for you to stop talking and start walking. Don't disappoint them. Don't disappoint yourself. And most importantly, don't disappoint the purpose that chose you before you were born. The world doesn't need more talkers. The world needs more walkers. The world doesn't need more people with potential. The world needs more people with proof. The world doesn't need more dreamers who sleep. The world needs more dreamers who wake up and work. And that's you. That's your assignment. That's your moment. This is not the time to explain yourself. This is the time to execute. This is not the season to debate your calling. This is the season to demonstrate it. So close your mouth, open your hands, and get to work. Now go. Work in silence. Let success be your noise.